Good morning, dear friends. Today we are going to discuss about the isolation and purification of enzymes. So, what are enzymes? As we all know that enzymes are a substance that act as a catalyst in living organisms, regulating the rate at which chemical reactions proceed without itself being altered in the process. The molecules upon which enzymes may act are called substrates, and the enzyme converts these substrates into different molecules known as products. At most, all metabolic processes in the cell need enzyme catalysis in order to occur at rate fast enough to sustain life. So metabolic pathways depend on enzymes to catalyze the individual steps. Because enzymes are relatively large molecules, separation based on the size or mass of the molecules favors the purification of the enzymes, especially the ones with the higher molecular weight. The dialysis is a common method used where the semi-permeable membranes are used to remove the salts, small organic molecules and peptides. There is no hard and fast rule for the selecting tissue or organism for the isolation of enzyme. It is always preferable to select a source which is enriched in that particular enzyme. It is believed that working with the microbial and animal enzymes is easier when compared to the plant enzymes, since plants are generally high in the phenolic compounds, which on the exposure with air get converted into quinones and bind with the enzyme protein and make it inactive. First is the enzyme solubilization techniques. Almost all enzymes, with a few exceptions, are heat liable and not much stable at the room temperature. The entire process of the enzyme isolation purification is carried out at 0 to 4 degrees Celsius using a cold room. As we all know that when we did the enzyme extraction methods, we always used to grind and keep the enzyme in the ice tray. All the isolation medium components should be in chilled condition. While homogenizing in a pestle and mortar, it should be surrounded by the ice flakes. In case of varying blender bowl, it should be wrapped a cloth wet with the chilled water. Enzyme may be present in the cytoplasm or may be localized in an organelle. Even in the organelle, the enzyme may be present in the matrix of the organelle or may be bound with the membrane. If the enzyme is localized in a particular organelle, it is preferable first to isolate the organelle first in an intact form, and afterward conditions may be applied to rupture the organelle. Next is the selection of the isolating medium. In case of the animal tissues and microbes, many people just use distilled water as the isolating or the homogenizing medium. However, generally a buffer of a suitable ionic concentration and pH is preferred in order to maintain the pH and ionic concentration in the medium. All the enzymes are pH sensitive. A very slight change in the pH may affect the enzyme activity. So every enzyme is stable in a particular pH range only. In case of plants, presence of the buffer in the isolating medium is more important since there is accumulation of the acids, as we already said, quinones in the plant cell vacuoles, and these acids get released in the medium after the rupture. The released acid will influence the pH, that is the decrease in the pH of the medium, and if buffer has good buffering capacity, it will counteract the change in the pH by the acids. However, sometimes for isolation of the enzymes which act in acidic pH range like acid phosphatase, it is preferable to use water instead of buffer, since release of the acids will not decrease the pH of the water lesser than the optimum pH of the enzyme. In addition to the buffer or the water, as the case may be, other components are also used as per need. First, the topic. First we are going to discuss about the techniques used for the enzyme isolation. The first one is the pestle and mortar. We are very familiar with this. pestle and mortar, because we are all used with this pestle and mortar. Pestle and mortar is a moderate technique for tissue homogenization. Mechanical breakdown occurs during the process. Sometimes grinding is done in the presence of purified sand or glass beads for aberration. Pestle and mortar is considered to be a moderate grinding technique, and rupturing of the cell organelles does not occur if isotonic grinding medium without detergent is used. We already know that for our enzyme isolation, we already use the glycine NaOH buffer with a pH of 10. So it is very clear now that the enzymes are actually sensitive to the pH, so the correct pH is needed for the for this grinding medium. Without a detergent, we already know we are not using any detergent like any detergent. We are only using the glycine and NaOH. Next is the blenders. As the name suggests, blenders means mixer, like mixie, like that. Varying blender is comparatively harsh technique of grinding the tissue compared to pestle and mortar, and is most used for homogenizing the harder tissues like the plant tissues. They are made up of, we all know that they have a cell wall, they are very hard. If we are interested in isolating intact cell organelles, then varying blender is not a preferred technique because it is very harsh technique. So there is more chance for the destruction of these organelles. The varying blender is first operated at low speed for a few seconds and then at a medium speed for a few seconds before bringing it at a high speed. Time of the grinding at various speeds is decided according to the nature of the tissue to being ground. If it is a soft tissue, the time needed will be very less, and if it is means harsh or hard tissue, more time is needed for the grinding. If homogenization has to be done for a little longer time, then it is generally done after few seconds of interval after every minute of grinding at high speed to avoid heating during the operation of the varying blender, because we already know that when we are using the mixer or when we use the mixer in the house itself, they will generate a heat. So when heat is liberated, the enzyme activity will be lost. So to avoid this heating, we are done this grinding in a few seconds in regular intervals so that we can avoid the heating. In the first, we already told about that we already use a cloth which is dipped in the chilled water, so it is wrapped around this varying blender so that it will be act as a medium for regulating the heat. The next is the ultrasonicator. This technique of rupturing the cells is generally used for the microbial or bacterial cells. Ultrasonicator generates low as well as high wavelength of ultrasonic waves. For the purpose, a suitable probe depending on the volume of the homogenizing medium is selected and connected with the ultrasonicator. The container having cells and homogenizing medium is put in a chilled condition by covering the container with ice. There is much generation of heat during ultrasonication. Therefore, ultrasonic waves are thrown in the sample only for after a few seconds interval every 10 to 15 seconds ultrasonication. Next is the Wirtz homogenizer. This is considered to be a mild technique and generally used for the homogenization of soft tissues such as animal tissues. Here a motorized pistol with teeth-like aberrations is used. With this homogenizer, generally no rupturing of the cell organelles occur during grinding, provided with the isotonic medium with no detergent is used. Next is the extrusion medium. This method relies on the principle that forcing a cell suspension at high pressure through a narrow orifice means a hole, will provide a rapid pressure drop. This is a powerful means of disrupting cells, especially from bacteria. Next is the lytic enzymes. The lytic enzymes, as we all as the name suggests, they are the which will be provided as a medium for the rupturing of the other, and will extract the enzyme itself only. Cell wall and the cell membrane lytic enzymes like cellulase, pectinase, xylanase, pectin methyl esterase, lysozyme, etc. can be used for the rupturing the cells. Enzymes, being costly, are not commonly used for making cell-free preparation. For the isolation of enzymes in plant tissue culture, lytic enzymes are used to prepare protoplast. Next is the freeze thaw, which with certain susceptible microbes and eukaryotic cells. Repeated freezing and thawing result in extensive membrane lesions with release of periplasmic and intracellular proteins. Next is the acetone powder. Drying with acetone is a good method for rupturing the cell membrane. Using acetone powder of the tissue may be prepared, which may be stored in a deep freezer for a long time. It forms a convenient starting material from which the enzyme may be extracted with the isolating medium whenever required. However, one has to take much precautions of the low temperature, otherwise acetone may be denature the enzyme protein. This is the picture of the Würth's homogenizer and the ultrasonicator. Methods of enzyme purification. The purification of particular enzyme involves the removal of other substances, proteins as well as non-proteins present in the preparation. Purification of an enzyme protein is generally a multi-step process exploiting a range of biophysical and biochemical characteristics such as its relative concentration in the source, solubility, charge, size, hydrophobicity or hydrophilicity of the target protein. In general, design of the purification technique or protocol should be focused on the high recovery, highly purified enzyme protein, reproducibility of the methods, economic use of the chemicals, and the shorter time for the complete purification. The proteins are relatively liable and get denatured at high temperatures and variation in the pH. Each protein has its own physiochemical characteristics. The techniques selected for the enzyme purification should be moderate, and native conformation of the enzyme protein should not change as the result of the purification. During purification, degree of the purity and percent of the recovery should be checked after each step of the purification. It is not always necessary to purify the enzyme proteins to homogeneity, since enzyme purification is a costly affair and also the time consuming. Therefore, it is necessary to have an idea of the degree of purity necessary for the intended use of the target enzyme. In general, it has been observed that the enzymes are most unstable in dilute solution. Therefore, while designing the purification procedure, initially emphasis is given on concentrating the protein concentration in the sample rather than the purification. After the concentration, emphasis is given to the purification and lesser loss of enzyme activity on the targeted enzyme. Commonly, the first step in the enzyme purification is based on the fractionation of the proteins on the basis of solubility of the proteins in aqueous solutions of salts or organic solvents. Purification and separation of the enzymes are generally based on the solubility, size, polarity, and binding affinity. The production scale, timeline, and properties of the enzymes should all be considered when choosing the proper separation methods. Next is the separation methods. The first one is the solubility based separation. As the name suggests, it is based on the solubility. The principle of this type of separation is that the enzyme solubility changes drastically when the pH, ionic strength, or the dielectric constant changes. For example, most proteins are less soluble at high salt concentration and an effect called as the salting out. The salt concentration at which a protein precipitates differ from one protein to another. Hence, salting out can be used to fractionate the proteins. Salting out is also useful for the concentrating dilute solutions of the proteins, including active fractions obtained from other purification steps. Addition of the water-miscible organic solvents such as ethanol or acetone will change the dielectric constant of the solvent and therefore precipitate the desired enzyme. The neutral water-soluble polymers can also be used for the same purpose instead of the organic solvents. However, the risk of losing the enzyme activity during precipitation and further separation of the added salt or polymer is needed to be considered. The next is the size or mass based method. Because the enzymes are relatively large molecules, separation based on the size or mass of the molecules favors purification of enzymes, especially the ones with the high molecular weight. Dialysis is a commonly used method where semi-permeable membranes are used to remove the salts, small organic molecules and peptides. The process usually needs a large volume of dialysate, the fluid outside the dialysis duct, and a period of hours or days to reach the equilibrium. The countercurrent dialysis cartridges can also be used, in which the solution to be dialyzed flow in one direction and the dialysate in the opposite direction outside of the membrane. Similarly, ultrafiltration membranes, which are made from the cellulose acetate or other porous material, can be used to purify and concentrate an enzyme larger than certain molecular weight. The molecular weight is called the molecular weight cutoff and is available in a large range from different membranes. The ultrafiltration process is usually carried out in a cartridge loaded with the enzyme to be purified. The centrifugal force or vacuum is applied to accelerate the process. Both dialysis and ultrafiltration are quick but somewhat vague on distinguishing the molecular weight, whereas size exclusion chromatography gives fine fractionation from the raw mixture, allowing the separation of the desired enzyme from not only the small molecules but also other enzymes and proteins. This is the picture of the dialysis. This is a dialysis bag, and the concentrated solution is poured inside this dialysis bag. This is the position at which when the equilibrium reaches. Next, this is the ultrafiltration method. This is a dialysis, and this is the ultrafiltration method. Next is the polarity-based separation. Like other proteins, enzymes can be separated on the basis of polarity, more specifically their net charge, charge density, and hydrophobic interactions. In ion exchange chromatography, a column of beads containing negatively or positively charged functional groups are used to separate the enzymes. The cationic enzymes can be separated on the anionic columns, and anionic enzymes can on the cationic columns. Next, the electrophoresis is a procedure that uses an electric field to cause the permeation of the ions through a solid or semi-solid matrix or surface, resulting in separation on constituents on the basis of the charge density. The most commonly used method with a SDS page matrix are quite well standardized and do not differ much between labs. The distance of protein migrates in the SDS page is inversely proportional to the log of its molecular radius, which is roughly proportional to the molecular weight. Similarly, a matrix with gradient pH can be used in the isoelectric focusing separation. A protein moves under the influence of an electric field and stop upon reaching the pH, which is the pi for the protein. So the net charge will be 0. The matrix can be a liquid or a gel poured into either a cylindrical shape or a flat plate. Next method based on this polarity is hydrophobic interaction chromatography. Employs hydrophobic interactions to distinguish different enzymes. A gradient of decreasing ionic strength or possibly increasing nonpolar solvent concentration can be used to elute the proteins, giving fractions that usually contain relatively high pure enzymes. The high pressure liquid chromatography HPLC uses the same principle of the separation of the HIC, which is filled with the more finely divided and tuned materials and thus allows more choices of eluents and to result in better separation. Note that the HPLC could be based on the polarity, affinity or both. This is the HPLC and SDS. This is as HPLC and this is SDS. Next is the affinity or ligand based purification. Affinity chromatography is another powerful and generally applicable means of purifying enzymes. This technique takes advantage of the high affinity or many enzymes for specific chemical groups. In general, affinity chromatography can be effectively used to isolate a protein that recognizes a certain group by covalently attaching this group or a derivative of it to a column. 2. Adding a mixture of proteins to this column, which is then washed with buffer to remove unbound proteins. And 3. The eluting the desired protein by adding a high concentration of a soluble form of affinity group or altering the conditions to decrease binding affinity. The affinity chromatography is most effective when the interaction of the enzyme and the molecule that is used as the base is highly specific. A special name of ligand affinity chromatography is the NiNTA, nickel nitrolotriacetic acid agarose affinity chromatography. Other forms of affinity chromatography includes the dye ligand chromatography, immunoadsorption chromatography, and the covalent chromatography. After purification, the enzymes needed to be concentrated and sometimes lyophilized to give the pure stable form distributed as the product or added into the final formulation. The following analysis and quality certification is necessary to confirm the enzyme is the desired one with reasonable concentration, stability and activity. This is the picture of this affinity chromatography. Next is the overall table showing the purification of enzymes. The size or mass based separation is done by the centrifugation, gel filtration, dialysis or ultrafiltration. Next is based on the polarity. Based on the charge, ion exchange chromatography, chromatofocusing, electrophoresis, isoelectric focusing are used. And based on the hydrophobic character, hydrophobic chromatography is used. Based on the solubility, change in pH, change in the ionic strength, decrease in the dielectric constant are used. Specific binding sites or the structural features. The used methods are the affinity chromatography, immobilized metal ion chromatography, affinity elution, dye ligand chromatography, immunoadsorption, covalent chromatography. Thank you all. Hope you all understood my presentation. Thank you and have a nice day.